What is up, Top Shot Nation? Welcome to the Mint Show for base set release 2 of Series 3. Couldn't be more excited to be here to break down 36 brand new moments to the Top Shot ecosystem, including some fire 3-star rookies and a really special Top Shot debut. I'm joined by my main man, Austin Kent, Dapper Labs content lead. Austin, how's it going, man?
It's going great. It's going great. Ready to get into some awesome new moments.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. We got JP in the studio queuing things up, and we're going to start with our only Top Shot debut among the non-3-star rookies. This one from Gary Payton II. He's burst onto the scene this year with the Golden State Warriors, and here we see him with the epic throwdown.
Yeah, I love this moment. Very popular moment on Twitter. Everybody, I think, is just so happy for Gary Payton II. He's bounced around a few different spots in his career thus far. Showed signs of promise here and there, and if he can really fit into this system as a great rotation piece, I think it's just a perfect situation for him. And you gotta love this dunk all over Kelly Oubre.
Absolutely, and going into the season, there was some murmurings that Steph Curry, Draymond Green were not so happy about the Warriors' decision to let go of Avery Bradley. But Bob Myers and Steve Kerr looked like they knew exactly what they had in Gary Payton, deciding to keep him instead. Moving along here to another all-NBA defender, an elite defender in his own right, OG Anunoby here, finishing a big alley-oop at the Garden.
Yeah, sorry to do this to you and your fellow Knicks fans, but OG has just been incredible. He's taken another leap, as he's been this like slow burning incremental growth year over year, and he's taken on more of an offensive load. He got 36 points in this win over the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, including a nice little oop from Fred VanVleet there.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned it. The Raptors look fun. They look invigorated. They've got a lot of young talent between him and Scotty Barnes. Certainly dynamic two-way guys for years to come. Moving along here to our first big man of the release, Mo Bamba. He has had a really nice start to the season, showing some potential that made him a lottery pick not too long ago. And here we see him cleaning up a putback and throwing it down with that. The longest wingspan in the entire NBA.
I love it. Mo Bamba, it's been easy to sleep on Mo Bamba, right? Because he missed so much time. He dealt with long COVID. He was out for a while. But he's a special talent on a Magic team that has a curious sort of blend of intriguing young players. And this is a big game from Bamba, which really shows what he's capable of. 14 points, 18 boards in this one, and then a couple of blocks for good measure. But I love what he can be. When I think of Orlando, I think of their great young backcourt. But he's such a valuable sort of cog to have in the middle. And so it's fun to see him kind of get back on track this year.
Moving ahead to our next player, we got DeAndre Bembry, one of the better passers in the NBA. But here we see him finishing, going up high and throwing down the oop from James Harden.
Yeah, I love Bembry's signature rim hang. He did it again just last night. But anytime you can sort of catch the lob like that and have a little fun with your dismount, I'm all for it. 15 points for Bembry in this one too, as he sort of emerges as an interesting rotation piece on a deep Nets team.
Really good defender, as I mentioned, great passer, shows some nice hops here. Moving along to our next player in the release, we've got Bol Bol, a fan favorite, a community favorite, and here we see him starting the fast break with the steal, making a nice pass and jamming it home. And Bol Bol, this is kind of the Bol Bol experience. He can kind of do a little bit of everything on the floor.
Yeah, he really can. And no matter how many times you see Bol Bol run the length of the floor or really kind of showcase his mobility, to me at least, it's startling every time you see it, but he does it over and over and over again, which makes him such an interesting athlete. So happy to get Bol Bol's first Series 3 moment in this fashion.
Next up, we've got Jalen Brunson, who figures to be a really important piece for Dallas as they pursue the playoffs and more this year. He is really, after Luka, maybe their best playmaker and creator, obviously national champion at Villanova, I believe twice. And here we see him with a nice lefty finish, breaking down the defense. What have you seen from Jalen so far this year?
I think you're onto something. Like he's just got like total X factor, written all over him. And I think how competitive this Mavs team can be comes down to how solid players like Brunson can be. And so to see him, I get 25 points in this game, and none nicer than this hard-earned double crossover, off-balance scoop shot. And if he can do that, I don't think they need 25 points per game from him, but if he can step up as a consistent scoring threat for that team, I think it just makes them that much scarier come postseason.
Moving along, we've got one of my favorite players in the NBA, one of the fan favorites of the entire NBA. We got Alex Caruso, and here we see him finishing the alley-oop with his former running mate with the Lakers, and now they're reunited with the Bulls, Lonzo Ball, to Alex Caruso. That is basketball IQ Mensa right there. Two of the smartest players in the NBA playing off of each other and really reinvigorating a Chicago Bulls defense that many didn't have high expectations for going into the season.
Yeah, what an offseason it was for that team. So to see it kind of put on, full display so early like this is just fun. That backcourt is so deep now. The whole team is solid. I love the little headband celebration that certainly won me over a bit in that one. And I'm just so excited to see what else the Bulls come up with over the course of the season.
I am as well. Yeah, it's been exciting to watch so far, and I don't think they're done yet. Moving along here, we've got Drew Eubanks. And Austin, I'm just going to let you take it away because you're a Drew Eubanks fan. And here you see Tim Hardaway trying to meet him at the rim, and Eubanks just protecting it so well.
Yeah, I love how this just sets up as if it's a moment for an epic dunk, but Drew Eubanks just says no. You can't test Drew Eubanks. He's a nice rotation front court piece for a franchise that consistently just optimizes every ounce of talent, from an entire roster. So to see Eubanks sort of grow as that young Spurs team grows and can be a rim protector like this, it's fun to see. And it's fun to see it so explicitly in the form of a very clean a very clean dunk right at the top of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s jump there. So who knows what else Eubanks can add to his bag of tricks, but I'm happy with what I've seen from him so far.
Now moving along to our first former All-Star of this release, we've got Blake Griffin with his Series 3 debut. Blake Griffin, of course, playing a big role with the Nets right now, elevated, especially in Kyrie Irving's absence. And here we see Blake kind of channeling the old Blake, soft, feathery touch from the short to mid-range here, fadeaway, against his former team, no less.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorite things about, I guess the second half of Blake's career is just how nice of a jump shooter he became. And as a Pistons fan, I watched him, really hone those skills in Detroit. So I like to see a little blend of, both Blakes here. You got him doing a 180, and then he's also nailing a fadeaway jumper, which is kind of fun for me. So happy to see Blake really kind of prosper in his role with the Nets. I just want to see him do well.
And it really looked like, if we watch this one more time back, it really looked like as he was fading away, he wasn't confident that he was going to shoot. He was looking for the pass, and as the pass may have been closed off, he decided, okay, time to shoot. And there we see it.
Well.
Moving along to our next guy, we got Jaxson Hayes, one of the most athletic players in the entire NBA, and here we see him finishing the epic dunk on the alley-oop. And I always love these kind of just how high up he gets on this and the fading out of bounds as he's throwing it down. But he gets back in transition. What have you seen from Jaxson Hayes so far?
He's one of those players that if we're not careful, we could be minting a moment for Jaxson Hayes every drop, because he's always doing something that kind of just looks incredible, makes you drop your jaw. What I love about this one is just, like you mentioned, he's literally sliding out of bounds, still manages to reach out and throw down the alley-oop. He's still so young, but I think when you look at what he's like, look at it, like his build and his athleticism, he has such a high ceiling. And if he can continue to, like hone his craft, maybe take some notes from Jonas Valanciunas, who really flexes what you can do when you add a little bit of finesse. If you can combine those sort of traits, I think Jaxson Hayes could into the sky's the limit for him. And I really hope to see him continue to make progress there.
Absolutely. Moving ahead here, we've got Tobias Harris, one of the most underrated players in the NBA, playing a pivotal role on the Sixers team that has found their groove. And here we see Tobias Harris with the acrobatic finish. He's always been the type of guy. He's not, his athleticism's not going to jump off the screen, but he's got great dexterity. He's got great mobility and flexibility, and he can finish around the rim like this pretty frequently.
Yeah, he can. I had a great thumbnail on this one. Props to the photographer there. I think when we talk about X factors, Tobias Harris is as big of an X factor as anybody because of what his ceiling can be. We've seen a variety of different Tobias Harris sort of production levels at his stops throughout his career, but there's no denying that his ceiling is quite high. And if he can score consistently for the Sixers team and be a legitimate threat for them outside of Embiid, I think we're going to be in for a fun year in Philly.
I guess we've hit our first existential question of the show. Can a max player be an X factor? We will see. But Tobias Harris certainly has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to play up to that contract. Moving along here, we've got Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward, our second former All-Star to make it into this drop. And simple math, Gordon Hayward on the court, Charlotte Hornets, really good team. And Hayward's dealt with the injury bug, but passes like this show why. He just sees the court on a whole new level, and he's just all around a B+, A- player at every single level of the NBA.
Yeah, I think when you get players like Hayward, who's got a resume of decent success, that's a nice thing to be able to pair with a young team like the Hornets because like he doesn't need to go out and score 30 points a night in order to make an impact. He can make other like subtle winning plays, and here you get to see. Something that appears in the stat sheet, an assist, but he's doing a ton of stuff that doesn't even appear in the stat sheet. But I love the angle of this bounce pass, how he just knows that PJ Washington is waiting for him under the hoop and manages to find him through a double team.
Moving along to one of my favorite players, a guy that I think is a future All-Star, potentially just a 3-and-D archetype. That Mikal Bridges has really burst onto the scene like this, but DeAndre Hunter with the Atlanta Hawks, he's going to be playing for a big contract, and here we see him breaking down off the dribble on Blake Griffin, throwing it down. Hunter, obviously, 4th overall pick just a few years ago, and here we see why. Great athleticism, fiery throwdown, and then, as I mentioned, just one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA. So what have you seen from him so far this year?
What an embarrassment of riches the Hawks have in terms of just solid wing depth on that team. I love Hunter for the reasons that you described, just the stud on defense, what he's capable of as an athlete is so exciting. This dunk, two of his 26 points in this game. And I think we saw Hunter really get out to a great start at the beginning of last season, but then that injury sort of derailed the season. And at that time, the Hawks were really kind of in a roll, obviously, before the postseason. So when you mention a potential like all-star ceiling for DeAndre Hunter, I think I agree. It's very much in play for him, just because like ever since college, he's shown that he can do a little bit of everything, and he makes it look so good because he's such a great athlete.
Moving along to our next guy, another 3-and-D star, U.S. gold medalist at the Olympics. We got Keldon Johnson. He has really emerged as one of the better 3-and-D players in the NBA. And on top of that, shows off the athleticism here with the big flush over Myles Turner, one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. So you need to get up high and come down hard on Myles Turner in order to pull it off. I think he has a little bit of renewed confidence coming out of the Olympic stint. Has a gold medal in his proverbial warehouse or trophy case, and here we see him really taking a leap, both literally and figuratively, for the Spurs this year. You're a big Keldon Johnson fan. Talk to me about what you like about his game.
I mean, I think Keldon Johnson is one of the league's best at throwing down little hammers like that. So it didn't surprise me to see him put one past shot blocker Miles Turner. And I think it's awesome that you brought up the Olympic, the Olympic berth, just because I think that maybe caught a lot of people by surprise. But I think it shows you that this is such an interesting young prospect that a lot of people look at and see this malleable canvas that can continue to sort of develop and prosper. And what better system to do that in than with the Spurs? So I've just had such a blast watching Keldon Johnson so far this season, and really look forward to those next levels that I think if any team can unlock, it's San Antonio.
Absolutely. Moving ahead, we've got Johnson and Johnson. This one, James Johnson, blood sport. For those who aren't familiar, probably the one guy in the NBA you don't want to see in a backdoor alley. Undefeated kickboxer. One of the few players, I believe he's from either North Dakota or South Dakota or Montana, one of the three. He's one of the only players in NBA history to be from one of those states. And he's been around the league for a long time. Settling in nicely here with the Nets this year. And I think it's fair to say he might have a big role for this team, as they clearly have some needs in terms of depth. And Johnson's always seen the court really well. Great athlete, of course, and can defend pretty confidently. So what do you see from him? And what about this dunk made it to Top Shot?
I mean, James Johnson has been throwing down crazy dunks for the last decade, and he's been around for a minute now, so I love to see that footwork. It's all muscle memory for a guy like James Johnson. Throws down a nice little dunk on the Pistons. I can see James Johnson being a game changer in the playoffs. He's just that type of player. He'll contribute to winning, and I think he landed in a perfect spot in Brooklyn. So to see him flash some of that, that dunking, greatness that he's delivered under the radar for the better part of the past, decade plus, to see it still at this age, at this time, it's kind of nice. Nets fans will be pleased that they've got James Johnson on the roster this season, I think.
Awesome. Moving ahead here, we have got Reggie Jackson, a star with the Clippers in the playoffs last year, and he's back with the Clippers for more this year. Just a great athlete, great finish at the rim, beating Jordan McLaughlin off the dribble, finishing acrobatically. He's been a revelation.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson's ceiling is, I think, so much higher than people sort of thought. And anybody who watched the Pistons during his time there, and even in Oklahoma City, knew that he's really capable of doing some great things on offense. Injuries and other things have sort of dropped him down a tier, I guess, in public perception. But last year's postseason certainly helped, and it's fun to see him still do it again this year. 28 points in this game, in addition to this nice little up and under.
Moving ahead, we've got Caris LeVert with his first moment in Series 3. LeVert, of course, one of the best scorers in the NBA, and here we see him hitting the buzzer beater against the Spurs for his Pacers. And you can see Domantas Sabonis, he saw it going in the whole way, puts the hand up as the shot's going in, and LeVert, that's just a great moment for all that he's been through. To see his reaction and his success just means the world.
Yeah, fun little celebration after that one. And look at how much space he clears with that step back. It's nice to see. This is the buzzer beater at the end of the first half, but the Pacers won this game.
Moving ahead, we've got Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles, Kentucky guy, got drafted primarily because of his ability to see the floor, but here we see him, the old man post-game, breaking down Bruce Brown, finishing at the cup. Lyles trying to carve out kind of a reinvention of himself with these Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, I think Lyles is just in such a great spot as sort of a veteran depth piece on a young team that needs role models. And Lyles has produced, at his various stops throughout his career. So to be able to see him pull off that nice little old school YMCA spin move into a bucket is nice.
Moving ahead here to a former Detroit Piston, we've got Svi Mykhailiuk, one of the best shooters in the NBA. I was surprised to see a relative lack of demand on the market for Svi. The Raptors picked him up toward the end of free agency, and this is why I was surprised. The guy throw it down hard. Really strong lefty dunk here. And again, one of the best shooters in the entire NBA. You get to watch him pretty often, being fairly nearby. What have you seen from him so far this season?
Yeah, I think he's an intriguing rotation piece, and Toronto does such a great job of finding players at various points in their career and throwing them into a system and really kind of bringing out the best in them. Mykhailiuk got 16 points in this game, including this nice little behind the back dunk. I don't think they need that from him every night, but to know that once in a blue moon he can contribute that, or he's a threat to contribute that if opponents take other options away, is really intriguing. And I'm excited to see this Raptors team filled with players in similar situations, how far they can go.
Moving ahead here to reigning slam dunk champion Anfernee Simons. And Simons has really improved this year, getting a lot of praise from Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum for the leap he's taking. And here you see, this guy is not just a dunker, not just a shooter. This is a hook shot, a sweeping hook from a point guard. I think he's only 6'1", 6'2". So for him to be able to finish this contested shows a lot about just his deft touch around the rim.
Yeah, and what better players to learn under if you're a scoring guard like Anfernee Simons. I love the hezzies all over the place. I'm exhausted even thinking about trying to defend that. And then he puts it in. He's frequently shown an ability to drop 17, 18, 19 points this season. And with Lillard and McCollum in your ear, I think we can see him really establish himself as a go-to scoring guard.
Next up, we're looking at JaVale McGee, who was, you can argue, the missing piece for the Suns last year as they made their finals run and tried to win the championship. They really needed a backup center for DeAndre Ayton. They now have it in JaVale McGee, who's looking really strong in the desert. And here we see JaVale just kind of running the floor, Statue of Liberty dunk. He is one of the best dunkers in NBA history, so maybe not his flashiest, but he has made a statement, and here we see just the dexterity, the ball handling. He does a lot of things that many centers can only dream of.
Yeah, he runs. Sometimes when you watch a center run the floor, it's kind of okay, but for a center, for a big man running the floor, McGee makes it look so smooth. Whether he's a big man or a wing, it just looks so fluid for him. And the Statue of Liberty dunk is just always nice to see. I think, for the reasons you mentioned, McGee in Phoenix is a good pairing, right? Look at McGee's recent success in LA and Golden State. It's fun to see him sort of settle into this role as a key piece on some really successful teams. So I think Suns fans are hoping that wears off on them.
And a little inside basketball for you all. Years ago, talked to JaVale McGee about his production levels and his efficiency. And he mentioned, at the time he was with the Denver Nuggets, he mentioned it's hard for him to stay on the floor for more than a few minutes at a time because he has asthma, and the altitude in Denver was really hard on that. So he always wanted to go to a team in the desert. He mentioned at the time that the Lakers and the Clippers were the teams that he was most interested in. Fast forward years, he's already gotten to play with the Lakers. Now he's in a new desert location with the Suns, where obviously he's able to get that dry air that helps him stay on the floor for longer. Moving ahead to Ish Smith, the NBA record setter. This guy has played for the most teams in NBA history. Wake Forest's proudest. He played on a Wake Forest team with 3 other NBA players, James Johnson included, who we just covered. And I believe he's on his 13th or his 14th NBA team. And there's something to be said about him constantly flipping teams, but the positive spin on that is there's always a team that wants a guy like Ish Smith, and here we see Ish Smith with the fancy pass down low, and I'm just happy for him because, he's back in the state. He played ball at Wake Forest. He's back in Charlotte, North Carolina. So close to his roots. And he's always been just a very reliable backup point guard.
Yeah, one of the great spot starters I think of the past decade. Anybody who gets really into fantasy will notice that if Ish Smith was like going to be in a starting role for a couple weeks, he's just a very intriguing player. And he could be that sort of rotation piece. He could come off the bench and he could really score if needed. But in this case, as a backup to LaMelo Ball, you get him wiring a nice little one-handed pass down low. It's fun to see Ish Smith, and I think that sort of can do anything required of him type approach will really help a young team like Charlotte that's really trying to make the most out of the young guys.
We got two more before we get into the All-Stars and Stars, and then we got the rookies to round us out. We're moving ahead to Isaiah Stewart. Year 2 with the Pistons, had a really impressive rookie season, and here we're seeing him. I think the rub on him coming out of college was not the most involved or invested defender. He's disproving that by the day. He's been a very good defender with Detroit so far, and here we see him with the emphatic rejection.
Yeah, I love that. And I love Isaiah Stewart's motor. There's something to be said about Pistons big men that really kind of just lay it all out on the line. And I think Stewart was sort of put into that bucket just as soon as he emerged as a solid rebounding, player on that team. But I think he's sort of flourished as that gritty, like rim protector and hustler. And this block, I mean, this was not even close to not being a block. And Beef Stew just lays it all out there, which is fun to see. I'm excited to see him in year 2.
I think there's something to be said about guys that were top 5 recruits in high school. There's just high pedigree. And with Isaiah Stewart, obviously one of the top recruits in his class, and came into the NBA and shot up the draft boards, becoming a mid-first rounder. And I think he's making the Pistons feel pretty good about that pick in year 2. Moving ahead, we've got Tristan Thompson, the veteran of a young Sacramento Kings team. And Tristan Thompson has come in and infected their locker room with kind of professionalism and excitement going into the year. And here we see Buddy Hield, one of Buddy's nicer passes, and Tristan Thompson with the nice finish.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. We're all getting old when all these players who we remember coming into the scene as these young rookies are now slotting onto teams as the veteran presences. But I think that's fun to see from Tristan Thompson, Canadian like myself. If he can kind of show some of these young guys in Sacramento how it's done, just to life as a professional basketball player, I think there's value in that. It's fun to see a nice little dunk from him.
Yeah, and I think this is, if we watch this one more time through, this pass from Buddy Hield is a pass that he has not made historically in his career. So he's going to attract the gravity of his shooting, and he's a willing passer. It totally unlocks a whole new dimension for these Kings. So very encouraged to see that early development in the season. Moving ahead to the All-Star section, and we've got 2 of St. Louis's finest to kick us off here. We've got Jayson Tatum with the handles. Tatum, one of the smoother ball handlers in the entire NBA, and you can see him here just breaking down Lonzo Ball, the spin cycle, the finish at the rim. Tatum has had a slow start to the year, but no reflection of him and his talent, because he can still do this on a nightly basis.
Yeah, another great thumbnail on this one. Jayson Tatum is so smooth with the basketball, and when you pair that sort of smoothness with the rock with his frame, and he's so long, he makes this look so easy, but it's an incredibly tough move against an NBA defense. Lonzo Ball, great defender, but when you're Jayson Tatum's like length and as agile as Jayson Tatum is, these types of moves kind of come naturally.
Next up, we've got Bradley Beal, these guys carpooled growing up. Bradley Beal and Jayson Tatum carpooled together. Jayson Tatum looked up to Bradley Beal as an older brother of sorts, and 2 of the best scorers in the NBA. Bradley Beal, just the things that this guy can do around the rim. Obviously, one of the best scorers in the NBA, and here we see him just splitting the defense, finishing with I don't even know what to call this finish. What would you call this, Austin?
I don't know what you would call it. I don't know that he knows what you would even call it. But that's the thing with scorers like Bradley Beal. They're doing things that nobody else understands. They might not even understand it, but their body knows how to put the ball in the net. I think Bradley Beal is a professional scorer, as nice of a scoring threat as they come. So to see him be able to finish a tough acrobatic finish like this, it's just it's on brand for Bradley Beal.
Moving ahead here, we've got Mike Conley, made his first All-Star team last year, and here we see Mike breaking down the defense. Rashawn Holmes didn't stand a chance because Mike Conley still has the smooth finishing, and as a lefty, he's got that leg up. When he goes left, he can finish a little faster than people realize.
Yeah, I love it. I love the one-handed take. He doesn't even need to bring his other hand over to gather the ball. This was in the final 2 minutes of a close game against Sacramento. The Jazz would go on to win this one. But when you need a closer, you just put the ball in the hands of Mike Conley, and he makes it look so nice. Got 30 points in this one, but I love this take.
Moving ahead to his running backcourt mate with the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell. He has been on a tear to start the year. The Jazz look like a Western Conference favorite, and here we see him breaking down Davion Mitchell, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he hits the very tough in-motion three-pointer. Donovan Mitchell never ceases to impress and is constantly improving.
Yeah, he really is. And Donovan and Davion had somewhat of a viral moment earlier this season when Davion sort of stole his cookies and ripped the ball out of his hands, and Twitter had a good laugh about that one. This time, Donovan senses the aggression from Davion Mitchell running around that screen, just spins back the other way. No problem. I'll just shoot the three then. 36 points for Donovan in this one, and it's just been incredible to watch him, improve over the years.
Now, the guy that Donovan Mitchell always gets compared to is up next. We've got Devin Booker, who obviously led the Suns to the finals last year. And here we see him with the defensive action and awareness into a very nice reverse dunk on the other end. Booker, just one of those guys, a professional scorer, and the Suns will lean on him to take the leap if they want to get back to the finals this year.
Yeah, definitely. And I think after last year's success, all eyes are on Devin Booker. He's officially sort of shown that he's capable of being a solid player on a contending team. So that's what the expectations will be from here on out. I love seeing Booker get active on defense. Nice little pickpocket from Jonas Valanciunas, and a nice reverse dunk in front of the home crowd. I'll take it.
Next up, we've got LaMelo Ball, who not an all-star yet, but this might be the season that he makes it, to another guy that's in the all-star conversation early on in the season, Miles Bridges. This is just what Charlotte does. Flashiness every single time down the court. Some of the best athletes, some of the best dunkers, some of the best passers in the entire NBA. And here we see LaMelo kind of just flashing this. This one is going to be numbered to only 9,999 in the world. So it's going to be one of the scarcer moments from this base set. And here we see Miles Bridges kind of with the flush. This is a twofer. You get two flashy plays for the price of one.
Yeah, you definitely do. LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges are two players that they're similar to some that we've mentioned, previously. If we're not careful, they could have a moment every single game. So it's fun to be extra selective about these players. So to get both of them in one play, a nice little no-look dish behind his head to Miles Bridges, who's been incredible in his own right this season, was something we were definitely excited about introducing into the base set, and so excited about it that, yeah, like you said, this is the one new moment being minted to 9,999 in this drop. So
now we've got 6 to round us out, bring us home. These are 3-star rookies, all moments coming from their debut games in the NBA, obviously Top Shot debuts to boot. And these moments are numbered to only 4,000 in the world. So these are the big hits from this release. And we wish you all luck as you pursue them. But we're going to start with the Washington Wizards sharpshooter, star rookie Corey Kispert from Gonzaga. And here we see Kispert in his debut game. Pump fakes, finishes with the lefty finish. at the rim. And this is what, when you're a great shooter, you attract the defense. People assume you're going to be pulling up from deep. And Kispert gets the win with the Wizards here.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's when you've built yourself a reputation as being a sharpshooter. These are the opportunities that you get, that you've earned by commanding that respect. I love the fundamentals on the pass fake. He just takes it in for the first bucket of his career, that one there. So I'm excited to see what Kispert develops into as a pro player.
Now, another guy that has a really strong reputation for shooting is Chris Duarte, who early on in the season looks like a candidate for Rookie of the Year. Here we see him breaking down the defense, tough contested three at the buzzer. When you're a rookie, you don't often hit buzzer beaters, let alone buzzer beaters in your debut game in the league. Duarte, from day one, looks like a star 3-and-D player in the NBA.
Yeah, what a captivating debut it was for Duarte. He scored 11 points in his first NBA quarter, and this was the buzzer beater at the end of that first NBA quarter. And he finished with 27 on the night, and just immediately established himself as a go-to player on this intriguing Pacers team. So I'm excited to see what else he's got in the works.
Next up, we've got another rookie that has really impressed early in the season, and this one's Josh Giddey from Australia. 6th overall pick in the draft, showing off the handles, breaking down Royce O'Neal. And what makes Giddey so tantalizing as a prospect is he's 6'8", 6'9", but he's got the court vision of a point guard. So a little bit of Magic Johnson or Ben Simmons in his game. And here we see him kind of breaking down Royce O'Neal, who's a very good defender, to make a nice little dump off at the rim.
Yeah, what a fun prototype to watch. These tall ball handlers are. The vision he's showing, so early for Oklahoma City has been very, fun to see. When you get the defense out of position with the handle there, and like you said, O'Neal's pretty solid on D. When you're that height and you're always looking to set up your teammates, good things happen. So I'm really excited to see what else is in store for Josh Giddey.
Moving ahead, we've got Delano Banton. Delano Banton, who I think, came into the league this year fairly under the radar, but Raptors fans are super excited. And this one might be the play of the drop from his debut game. We mentioned Chris Duarte hit a buzzer beater, but it wasn't quite like this Banton buzzer beater.
Yeah. Banton, a huge fan favorite right away. The first Canadian player drafted by the Raptors. And just for some context here, Delano Banton subbed into the game for the first time of his NBA career 25 seconds before the shot. This is his first field goal attempt. Don't quote me on this, but that's got to be maybe the best first field goal attempt in NBA history.
Moving ahead here, we've got Zaire Williams, big Top Shot collector and 10th overall pick in the draft. And Zaire Williams played with Bronny James at Sierra Canyon High School. And here we're seeing him with the Memphis Grizzlies hitting threes. He is going to be a problem on both ends. And the Grizzlies are excited about having him join their deep bench. But he is one of the youngest players in this draft and should rise to the occasion in due time. And here we see Tyus Jones to Zaire. That's some Duke to Stanford love. Moving ahead to our last player in the drop, and this one is a very special 3-star rookie because we're getting a little bit of everything on this one from Ayo Dosunmu, Illinois product, now playing with his hometown Chicago Bulls, finishing in transition. But wait, the moment is not over because they get a steal. Caruso gets the steal to Dosunmu again. That's a 4-pointer. We got 4 points, 2 field goals from Dosunmu in the span of 4 seconds on the court. What a way to start his NBA career. He has been very impressive and certainly one of the guys that we're excited about. And there you have it. 36 new moments making it to Top Shot this week. We couldn't be more excited. Austin, just kind of rapid fire. What is the play of the drop? Which one are you most excited about making it to Top Shot for the first time?
After seeing Toronto fans just get so excited to see their homegrown talent, Delano Banton, hit that that heave at the buzzer. That's probably the one that would strike the biggest emotional value for me.
Awesome. And I certainly agree. These 3-star rookies are epic. I've got my eye on Duarte and Giddey, 2 guys that I anticipate will make the all-rookie first or second team. But yeah, again, very loaded drop. Kudos to you curating such an unbelievable curation of just great moments from the season so far. And collectors, just as a reminder, if you line up for the queue, you have the opportunity to purchase up to 10 packs. You don't have to purchase 10 packs, but you have the opportunity to. And we're just going to keep on bringing packs to the ecosystem week after week. So if you aren't able to get your packs this week, there will be another opportunity next week. And our hope is to just always have the opportunity for collectors to buy up to 10 packs throughout the season. We will get there soon enough. Thank you for your patience as we get there. And yeah, until next time, happy collecting. Big week ahead for Top Shot, especially with this drop. So can't wait to share these new moments with you all. And thank you for watching. And we'll get these timestamped for everyone else. Austin, thanks again for the awesome curation here. And community, we'll see you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel for all of the latest and greatest in all things Top Shot.